You're like half cut off.
I know. When I move over here, I was trying to.
Oh, yes.
I couldn't see the screen behind the microphone.
Be a talking voice. That's cool if you guys.
Da 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 da.
Please. We're both foolish.
It'll be the first night of a love eternal. Dang. Anyway.
No, sing it for now. Sing it. Give him. Giving you interpretive dance and singing today. Episode 41 of Unfoolishness.
Unfoolish. You know, it was supposed to be.
Y'all are live.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
You know, can we not enjoy ourselves for a second? Deez, I was trying to retweet the thing I just finished.
What did you think we were doing? Just talking?
I love that y'all have an episode of you in this portion of you telling me to not fuck around in the beginning of the episode, and an episode of you telling me to let you fuck around in the beginning of an episode.
It's my show.
No, I know. I know. I'm just saying it's really funny.
I know what I'm doing. You just be going. You be going like the Energizer Bunny. Okay, you be going, and then I be done. So that's what I'm talking about.
What?
I said what I said.
Exactly.
I done said what I said. Okay, if you want to talk back, shut up.
Some lip.
Hey, you giving me lip.
Or do you want to do the intro?
Welcome to Insert Name Here. Y'all know where nobody knew was watching except for that Nigerian guy that one time. What's up? Welcome to Insert Name Here, though, brought to you full Technicolor and living sound. Can't distract me, that's a problem. It was the dulcet tones of the great Alejandra Tejeda.
Kane distracted me, that's the problem. I just wanted to reiterate it.
And the lovely, bassy, beautiful black King with the natural hair, got the beard. No. I really like your shirt today. I forgot to tell you earlier.
Primark, $13.
I want one.
You picked it out for me. It was very nice.
I want one.
Bitch, shut the fuck up.
You do this every week, ma'am.
Because my thing doesn't work.
Okay.
My buttons here on my keyboard no longer work.
Why don't you turn it down with the mouse?
Because I never think about it.
Why don't you put the thing on your thing?
Because I don't think about it until it's too late.
Okay, so put the thing on the thing. Put that on the thing.
It's gone.
No, put this. Oh, you see, it's right there now. So anytime you want to turn down the volume or turn it off, you just click that. Okay.
Mike said you have your slave owner voice going tonight.
My slave owner voice. Okay. I don't know. I mean, if that's a slave owner, but I never heard a slave owner. Thank God. Like, jeez, I was only a few years off, really. Like,
dead.
Sick. It's bad. But anyway, hi, Mike.
All right, let's get into the shits. Do we want to start with the shits?
Let's talk about well, let's talk about Southie, actually.
Okay.
So,
we do start with the deadness.
Yeah, they found a dead body in Southie, and that's weird.
It was like in a stairwell. Very creepy. They don't know they're investigating. They don't know what's happened to it, whatever.
How'd they find it?
Somebody came up.
I mean, if it was in a stairwell, somebody probably walked up the stairs.
No, not like how did they come upon the body? I mean, like what was the body like when they found it? Sorry, I'm sorry.
They walked up the stairs. Eh?
Yeah, that's how they found it. What do you mean? How did they find it? They found it. You idiot.
No, it legit says the body was found in a stairwell.
No determination has been made of criminal activity.
It's probably the serial killer back at it again.
Oh, yeah, there was that. Was it a man? They didn't even say was it a man or a woman. No, maybe it was in a video, but there was just a conversation on Twitter about how videos are whack. Stop. If you're writing a damn article, you're a journalist, write an article. That's what you went to college for, you bitch. Don't make a damn video. You're not BuzzFeed.
Just transcribe the video.
And not BuzzFeed also writes articles. BuzzFeed News writes actual articles, so. Not like BuzzFeed.com. Anyway.
RIP to them.
Yeah, whoever they were, since they didn't release any name or say anything about anything, from what I read. But so, in different news, also, like, just to reiterate, it's like summer's coming upon us, and we all know that that's like the most violent season in our city. And we're not really talking about like real solutions to that. We know over policing doesn't work. You know, so yeah, let's keep that on our minds. Like, they found a body in Southie, but like every day bodies dropping in our neighborhoods. Need Tim to walk in our area. Need us everywhere.
That might be the new title.
What'd she say?
It's a song.
Cause all the birdies. I don't know what the other line is.
It's a song by
Junior Biggie.
Junior Biggie.
Is that his name?
I don't know.
Anyway,
What's his name though?
this is a song.
Anywho, okay.
So mayoral race pose. So Anansi, did you mean to spell Anansi? Her name is Anissa, ma'am. I was looking at it the whole time trying to figure out if that was a joke, but her name is Anissa.
I don't know how to spell that
in this poll, Anissa came out on top with when they asked people like, who are you leaning towards or whatever.
Who
this
will
was
you potentially vote for?
Was this
Who
the Bay
has your
State
vote?
Banner and?
No, it was the Bay State Banner reported it, but it was two groups that did it. Let me pull that up real quick. Give me 1 second.
Was this on the Bay State? Yeah, it was on there or whatever.
Nope.
You have your little article.
Nope.
Bitch.
Okay. Me sending too much shit to Malaysia.
Why didn't you put it on the document? It was.
I thought I did. That's the worst part.
Somebody was.
Okay. The poll is conducted by parapolitical consulting firms, Poll Progressive, and Emancipated Group.
Cool. Awesome. So they asked likely voters on mayoral preferences. And so Anansi came out on top with 22%, then Wu with 18%, and then Kim with 16%, I believe.
Me as if I didn't write it down. Yes.
And then 36% of people, this is the important part.
Yes, the
36% of people are undecided.
Facts.
So there's still a lot of race to race, my niggas. You should do that and don't make mistakes like Kim Janey just made today.
That's a foolish mistake. But where is the funny part? Never mind. I thought they mentioned about how here we go. State rep John Santiago and sadly Andrea Campbell both got 6% of the pollers' votes, and then our favorite John Barros got 5. Actually, I read this wrong. Andrea got 6, and state rep John and John Barros got 5%. They both got.
They deserve that.
I'm glad she's at least a little bit ahead.
Fact, John Barros and John Santiago both deserve no percent.
This is hilarious. And
yeah, a lot of people still undecided.
A lot of people still don't know who they're going to vote for, what they're going to vote for. It's interesting. Oh, this is an interesting thing. Not interesting if you really know, but this says while the highest portion of white voters in the survey, 27% support Anissa, Wu comes in second with 23% of the white voters. And then it says amongst black voters.
This is actually interesting.
Yes, that was the interesting part. I had to read the first part to give it more context.
Right.
Among black voters, Janey leads with 34% of their support, but 35% of black voters remain undecided in the race.
That's a lot of people to not want to vote for the first black mayor of Boston.
Facts. Undecided.
Or not be sure, rather.
Yes. To just be like, I'm gonna weigh my options out. Me. She also was like the city council president,
right.
The city council.
But like, I mean, like not specifically want to vote for her. It's kind of. And she's her family's very established in the city.
Facts.
My dad lives next to a Janie. He's friends with him.
You know when those TikToks where the kindergarten teachers be like, watch what you tell your kids. That's what a kid would say in like middle school. Or no, in elementary, kindergarten, he would be like, whoa,
like
I went to every school. In kindergarten, he'd be like, my daddy lives next to a Janie, so that means I know her. Shut up, kid. Stop telling somebody business outside the house. Kids just be saying stuff.
Yeah, kids are really, like, they'll tell, like, it's the deep information. Like, yeah, last night I heard my dad climbing in through the window. And he said, "Don't say anything to my mom."
Yeah, and he smelled, and he didn't smell like fires like he usually does because he's a firefighter. He smelled like flowers. Why is that part of the story too?
Smell like flour.
All right. Now back to the polls.
So, a near majority. Let's hear it. A near majority of voters polled, 49%. 49% said they would support reducing the Boston Police, the Boston Police Department's budget.
The Boston Police Department.
That you're from New York.
Yes, he yes. I told you this the other day. You do a New York accent for a Boston accent,
and
you do an Italian accent instead of an Irish developed American accent.
And diverting the funds to violence prevention programs. While 36% of voters were opposed to the idea, and 15% were unsure. So that's a lot of unsure people. We can convince them, at least, that they should defund the police.
Period.
If not further than that.
49 is quite impressive though for
49. I mean, they did watch that. The BPD is the mafia. Like it's kind of hard to like, even for white people, it's kind of hard to like ignore the stuff that the BPD does sometimes.
It's true, nice.
Yes,
so
it is.
It up.
Yeah,
she got a new chair.
It's very comfortable.
Feeling nice.
It's very comfortable. It's my back support, got lumbar support.
And then another question that they asked whether they would support a reduction of MBTA fares. 36% of voters agreed, while 20% said they were in favor of abolishing fares for the T. Both I agree with. Both great ideas. The second idea I love the most. And then 35. Okay, guys, pet peeve. My brain's
why did
they wrote the numbers
as numbers and then they wrote out like they spelled out the number for the last one.
My brain can't process those things. And then 35% of voters said they favored no changes to the MBTA fares. That's kind of crazy.
I mean, no changes. Yeah, but if you have no changes, they're just gonna keep raising the fare. Like,
I mean, if you want to pay more, just go ahead.
No changes means there'll be changes. You just
a slim majority of voters. That's not that slim of a majority of voters polled. 55% opposed calls to lower the voting age to 16. Which, I just feel like if we want people to be interested in politics, we might as well let them be interested when they're interested. And a lot of young people are interested,
especially in Boston.
Like those young people who organize around like for instance, the young people who organize around Ed Markey, all, like a bunch of the people I worked with at Teen Empowerment, all the youth organizers I just knew from all this other stuff. Like all those people, not all of them, but a lot of those people are interested in voting, being able to affect, especially like local politics. That's the place where you can see your impact of voting the most. Someone stopped by to tell us to never stop believing in ourselves.
Yes,
thank you, Nemo Fawn. Thanks.
Very nice. So it was a very interesting poll. Oh, did you already read that part about African Americans?
No.
First of all, every time I say African Americans, I think of that TikTok where it's like African Americans and Mark.
I don't like the term African American. When they say it about like it's just when people type it out, like our news says, it's very uncomfortable. It's weird. Just call us black. Like the black is the more politically charged term. That's what I like to say it.
Black Americans.
The opposition runs across all demographics except black people who support, because they don't say white Americans. They say white people. Can we not be black people?
No, period. But that was an interesting part.
But the opposition runs across all demographics except African Americans, who supported it 47% to 37%. That's the
opposition
to lowering the voting age.
Yes.
So 37% agreed, wanted it lowered, and 47% was like, nah, I don't like that. I think that's what that means, yeah?
I don't like
47 to 37?
Wait, say that again?
The opposition runs across all demographics except African Americans, who supported 47 to 37. They supported 47%.
I thought I couldn't read once you said it that way. I could thought.
Sorry,
I thought the opposition's 37.
Yes. Okay, got it.
Yes. Okay.
That's great.
So that's the thing. I did find it interesting. Like, so the reason they picked out these issues is that those were some of the biggest issues for voters at the moment, or so I think I even filled out one of these surveys because also they text me and they're like, "Are you Maria?" And no, but I still filled them out. I say I'm Alejandra. Ask me. I'm not lying. But I filled them out and they did ask about like what were the like major concerns. So
I just get wax things. I don't text me good stuff.
I should send the links. I don't know why I forget. But anywho, so they send these links and they kind of ask you what you think are kind of the major issues within the city. And for me personally, I think I even filled it out. I remember where I was. I was getting bubble tea. I filled it out then. I put gun violence or just like shootings in general, something like that. Kowada?
Stripping on me.
I put the opioid crisis, and I can't remember the third thing, but it's interesting to see the things that were like obviously the most common topics that people wanted to be addressed within the city, which obviously like the MBTA very important, the police very important.
Not according to Dana de Platino. Nobody cares about the MBTA, remember?
Nobody takes it. Nobody rides it. The MBTA is fake news. Oh, what was I gonna say? I distracted myself. Today I'm very distracted. My brain. Whew. Anywho, so that was an interesting kind of survey of
Fun poll.
What's happening. Also, an interesting thing to point out is that what's her name? Anansi the spider. Anansi the spider. In one poll that was just in April was like polling at like 14-15% around the same area that Kim Janey was, and now is at 22%. But that is. If you don't know, she polls to all the people Marty Walsh polls, like appeals to all those white conservatives that live in Dorchester, South, West Roxbury. Like that is her base.
Vote.
And
they
pop out. They gonna try and make sure that there is not a progressive mayor in the city of Boston. They gonna try their damn hardest.
My butt chin is strong today.
That is very nice. Bootylicious.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I mean that's why I think what Kim Janey did today, which we'll jump into right now, is I think it's a bad idea, and I think they did it because of Anansi polling high. Or them thinking about her.
Facts, yes. No, it's, you know what it reminds me of is Anansi a few weeks ago was like, we have to reopen the city, blah, blah, blah. We have to change the timeline, blah, blah, blah.
Literally,
for the small businesses.
Because they were going after her, Kim Janey, for not opening. But anyway, so City Hall is not making any childcare accommodations for returning employees, and they want them to return like super soon. Like they
Facts.
want them to
It
return
varies,
like now.
but it's like basically within the next. Where is it? Some managers must report for duty in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks, depending on their role. And that's
and all employees are due back in full time in 6 weeks.
Yes.
Which I mean, the thing about it is that childcare was already an issue before Covfefe. So the fact that like, you know, they're like the Janey administration decided that this was a good time to do this is it's not a good time to do this, ma'am. But the other thing is that it just looks really bad because we know that this economic downturn impacted women mothers the most, and the fact that like a lot of women are worried that they're gonna have to quit their jobs to because of childcare. Like childcare, we talked about it last week. I think how it can cost more than like college tuition. Like, you know, they're giving out more vouchers now, but not enough. Not for everybody who needs it. Like, if they think you're making too much, like if you're making $50,000 a year, you can't afford $25,000 a year for early childhood, especially if you have 2 kids. Then it's 36, whatever. How much?
It's torture, and it's just in this article that we can link if we won't. It would be easier to link it here that way.
Yeah. I'll open up my thing.
Whatchamacallit? It talks about how, and this is something Malaysia just mentioned, but across the country, a large amount of women have been leaving the workforce in general because of the closures of schools and daycares and childcare centers and things like that. So, and this is like already an issue. Like when women leave the workforce, it's hard for women to get back into the workforce.
Yeah.
For just various reasons. Once you leave your job, it's hard for you to get it again. So, especially because we don't have like job protections like other countries.
Especially since America is trash. America is garbo.
Where other women can leave for some time period and come back to their job.
Have proper maternity leave and shit.
but whatever, it's fine. So that's a very big issue because this city has for a long time said that they were trying to work on making sure that families are supported, especially like mothers are supported as they like head back into the workforce, and they want to make sure that they have care and whatever. We have like a whole women's economic blah 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 thing in the city of Boston, but where does it play out here when you're ignoring that?
Ask John Barrows. Ask John Barrows how it plays, what it does. He that's all the only shit he can talk about. Fucking weirdo.
It also like makes me sick because
shit.
Like there was a plan in place already. This is a change to the plan. A lot of people knew that they were going to have to come back within the next couple weeks, but they didn't know, like they said, it was going to be some of them are coming back within the next 2 weeks.
That's
some
very
of them
soon.
coming back within the next 3 weeks. Also, it's kind of stupid because July 4th is right around the corner.
Right.
And that's already like a time period where kids are getting out of school. July 4th is around the corner.
Yeah, it's like it's a super bad time to do this. And I understand that, like we said, Nissa was, like, we need to open, and a lot of people are saying that, and Kim Janey was getting a lot of, like, flack for being too cautious. Why are you being so many people are vaccinated? They don't give a fuck that all the black people aren't vaccinated. We was getting the fucking shit the most. But anyway, it's whatever. But, like, it's just like they want to force people back to work so bad, and you know what? I don't think it's gonna be like that. To be honest, I think we worked from home for a year, right? Like some people need to come back, but some people don't need to come back, like or don't need to come back every day, or don't need to come back all day. Like we know it can be different. We know that we can be functional. We can be productive or whatever. Like, so.
And also, a lot of the functions of the things in City Hall can be done at home.
I'm like, unless they literally see people, right? I'm like, unless they literally see people for some reason, and most of those things should be done online anyway. Why do I even have to go down to City Hall for a lot of things? Like,
I would also be afraid of like strains that are stronger than like the vaccination, and like people get like opening up and getting together, and it just like
they don't care that part. They don't care about.
Nobody's worried about.
It could like potentially get so much worse.
It's so annoying because it's like nobody is worried about COVID.
They're acting like the vaccine means you're perfectly like safe forever.
And my thing is like, yeah, sure, but we actually.
Yeah.
My thing is the CDC.
Can, like,
I don't know if we talked about this, but the CDC stopped tracking. They stopped tracking. Like small cases or from people who are vaccinated.
Yes.
Like,
we didn't talk. I don't think we fully talked about it. Or if we talked about it, we didn't talk about it in depth. But yes, like if you're vaccinated and like you're asymptomatic and stuff like that, but like asymptomatic means you have the coronavirus within you.
Yeah, they stopped tracking the asymptomatic transmission stuff.
But they're like, okay, so you have the vaccine, so that means that you're less likely to pass it on, so we're not going to track it because this doesn't statistically matter to our other, like, whatever. But it matters. Like, it's important to know, like...
Yeah, but a lot, like, some scientists are like, but the problem is we don't know how long the vaccine lasts. We don't actually know, like... We don't actually know everything about the Confefe, so, like...
We don't even know fully how the whole vaccine itself will, like, fully work with COVID itself.
And then they just don't give a fuck about immunocompromised people at all. Like, they don't care about people with autoimmune diseases or any sort of shit that make you, more susceptible
to diseases, to anything, to illness.
So
we all gonna die, guys.
They don't care. That's fine.
And it's just so that you can get your permit, like your permit to do something. Oh, sorry, I had to move that up. It was bothering me. There was some space. Just so that you can go to City Hall and get your birth certificate, which I feel like, as somebody that's had to get their birth certificate before, personally feel like it was kind of stupid to have me go into City Hall. I feel like I could have submitted everything online.
So, bruh, it would even be easier for them if I submitted it online.
Everything I'm telling you. Like, you'll have the copy online. Do you need a physical copy of my...
If you need a physical copy, you know what you do when you get it online? Print it. Because then you know what you do with it. File it immediately. Or at your leisure, because you could print it when you need to.
You know what I never understood, and I still don't quite understand? I understand the purpose of having a City Hall and, like, for small towns where everything is centered so that you can go to one place for everything. Our city's kind of too big. Like, getting to downtown Boston to go to City Hall is, like, actually an event if you don't, like, work around there.
We have computers where all our data is in the fucking computer already.
Please just...
So, just let us get shit easier. Like, this is a problem with, like, capitalism, because it makes bureaucracy, and we don't need bureaucracy.
We don't need these layers to get stupid documents that exist.
And, I mean, we don't need that.
Like, I understand you want
too much. It's too much.
Or whatever, but I can just process it easier. Instead of having to gauge, what's the traffic like? Is the clerk going to be busy? Is it going to be closed? Can I go during lunchtime? Will they be eating lunch? You know how much work that is? When we could just save ourselves, everybody, the time. The clerk can be on their computer going, process new order. There we go. But whatever. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, happy Pride Month, y'all.
Yay! Happy month so that you can be happy to be gay.
Happy month so that freaking companies can pander to you with things that are not cool and that you don't like.
My favorite Pride meme is the Eric Andre one where it's like capitalism. Where it's like the Democrats and then he shoots Hannibal Buress and then because I fucking love it.
And also local news about kind of Kim Janey and Dennis White, who is technically the commissioner, but like not really.
About to get fired.
So he was like a 2-hour call today, where he wanted to present his side in like affidavits. There we go. From his family members.
After David.
From his family members basically saying, oh yes, no, I don't beat women. I don't do bad
things. His family members, were you dating him?
He don't beat nobody I know.
He never beat me. Were you his sexual partner?
No, maybe sometimes.
Right, like,
kind of.
Like, come on.
And so that was today, and it's likely that by the end of the week, hopefully, Dennis will be fired and we'll have homegirl Nora appointed as the commissioner.
Yeah, Nora Bastion.
Hopefully that will be the thing. But also, this was published today. His ex-wife spoke out, basically was like, stop calling me a liar. He abused me. So.
And wasn't she a cop? Or was that somebody else?
It might have been somebody else.
There was some other story about somebody who was a cop who was abused. But
Yeah, so it's a good article. I'll send it to Malaysia so you can.
I have it right here. Oh,
you don't got it. I just found it right now.
Put it. You forgot you didn't put it. How dare you?
I just found it. Anywho, so that's a thing. Hopefully he'll be fired by the end of the week.
That's such a funny thing to say. Hopefully he'll be fired by the end of the week.
We'll be done with it. It's been such a long cycle of this back and forth. First it was never forget that group of black men that got together and they were like
why they slandering our black king?
Can't judge it.
That shot
you can't do it like this. Me like you for cops now?
Yo, they like, bro, literally, I love it. I love cops.
Okay,
if they're black and they beat their black, was she black?
Me, I don't know. Me, I think so.
I think so too.
But me personally, if there's a report about a black police officer, and they were beating their spouse,
but like,
allegedly, I personally would probably not get up on stage and be like, hey guys, we should give him a due process.
I'm gonna let you finish, but he deserves
the due process of the law.
My thing is the statistic about police officers. We know admitted ones is like most of them.
We know they beat people, so they beat us on the street. You think they're not gonna beat their spouse in the house?
Behind closed doors. And like I said, there's another. We're terrible.
No,
tonight.
Eric said wrong side of Pound Town.
Wow. No, we're terrible tonight. We are terrible tonight. This is after dark. Anyway,
it sounded like your mom when you said that. Terrible.
I am my mom. I saw my great aunt last night, and she was like, "Oh, hi, Linda." I'm like.
Malaysia, do you want to hear what Eric's name for Freeform's edgier episode would be? Naked.
Was that sent in the chat? Because I still get the fucking notifications and I can still read the messages technically. I just can't see none of the fun pictures and memes and shit. Can't enjoy myself or respond.
It wasn't in the chat.
Did I do that?
Anyway, well, I just want y'all to know that.
Okay.
That's
So, yeah, happy Pride. On to national news. Nicole Hannah Jones was. it's her last name. I'm sorry, the words were jumping.
I copy and pasted her name. That's her name.
No. Yeah, I know. The words were jumping. Nicole Hannah Jones, the one of the main contributors for the 1619 Project, published by the New York Times, I think. And yeah, she was denied tenure at was it Chapel Hill?
Yeah, Chapel Hill, UNC, whatever.
UNC Chapel Hill, because because the whites are mad because there was because it's a public university and their shitty system makes their there's an oversight bitch ass oversight board that's appointed by the state.
Yes, the state appoints them in their general assembly. So it's I think a lot of states that have state schools have similar concepts.
I know, and everybody sucks for that.
Yes. So
because schools are supposed to be I think schools are supposed to be independent. They should be government funded, but they should be independent in terms of ideas, and especially college of all things. Because my thing about it is that what is her specific? Was it history? What was it?
Journalism. She's teaching, I believe, in the their masters.
I could
program.
read.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was scratching my eye, not reading the damn thing that said journalism. But
she went to school actually, just in case you didn't know that.
And that's probably one of the one of their more famous people. I mean, obviously there's a bunch of famous.
Literally,
people.
I would say they're probably the most famous person now.
But that was a huge thing, and one dude really didn't like what she said about. She's like, he thought she minimized white people's impact on the civil rights movement. She was like, but there were freedom riders and there were all these.
There were white people that fought.
There were all these priests against freaking racism and blah 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 blah. I'm like, but is she minimizing it though, or was it very minimal? I'm pretty sure it was quite minimal.
I didn't. I obviously that was only 2 years ago, so I remember all the outrage about the project. But I read it and I said, "What's in this project that is so outrageous?"
It's wild because this is what I learned in school.
Where's the rewriting of? They were acting like she was rewriting history, but I was like, "This is the history you guys wanted to hide. This is the history you guys acted like didn't exist."
And that's the part that's fun to me, because if anybody who's been to college even for a short time knows that their right-wing professors and conservative professors be saying straight crazy nut shit. And you're sitting here what is this motherfucker talking about? What is going on? And they're allowed to do that. Nobody, because, and I think they should be allowed to do that as long as they can teach their subject. As long as they're not punishing people for other opinions. Yes. I think they should be allowed to spout their bullshit, because that's how you look at those motherfuckers. They're scary looking. So I think that's how you learn to not agree with them.
This story is just really wild. Also, I think can you actually?
I
think the school is named after this dude that said this.
Yeah, the dude that said the school is named after him. It was recently named after him because he donated $25 million. So the journalism school got his stupid name on it. But the person who is more known from the fucking journalism school is Nicole Hannah Jones.
Yes. It's just
of the 1619 Project.
It was interesting to me because I didn't know how in depth it was. The way the articles were presented when we found out she was denied tenure was that it was presented more of she was just denied tenure, and it wasn't really in depth of what was actually going on. They told us the board of trustees did it, but we didn't have a full grasp of how
the full picture.
Yes, of how the board of trustees worked and everything. So
let me see what he said. He was very salty.
Yes, he was very racist too. The board of for more context, everybody in the school, the dean of the School of Journalism loves her. All of her colleagues love her. Everybody says that she is a perfect person to tenure at their school, and that she's a perfect person to teach journalism and journalistic values and all that bullshit to the students of UNC. So Even the president of the school's all like everybody's in a tiff about it because obviously like why it's the same concept to me like Cornel West, like why are you denying one of the best like well-known intelligent black figures of the time? It doesn't make sense.
It's literally just racist. Like what? Like I don't know why everybody ducking around it like it's not racist. It's just racist. Like
Bob
that's
and
it.
weave.
Like man's is literally mad that white people didn't fight for civil rights. Like you were. So how old is this man? He was probably there. Like sir.
He very wrinkly. This quote, the one she then pointed out, is very important.
Is that the man?
I think so.
That man was there. Was he doing it?
Turtle.
He does. Was he doing it?
Was he doing the racism?
No, was he marching in the civil rights movement? I'm trying to see the receipts, my nigga. You better have been getting hosed or something, bro. We got Bernie Sanders chained to a black woman. You could have been doing. What year was this nigga born?
I'm trying to find out his first name.
Walter.
Please. Oh, Walter. That's such a horrible name.
No,
for this white man.
Yes.
This white man.
My grandpa's name Walter.
Yes.
He doesn't deserve to have
Walter
the same
is
name.
a horrible name for white men. For black men,
this man is 74 years old. He was there. What I need to see. Go to his Wikipedia. I want to see some civil rights pictures, Walter. Where are they at? He was doing journalism, right? I think he was doing civil rights journalism, right? But like he's not. I want to see you hosed, sir.
I don't see nothing that tell me he was a freedom fighter, and therefore, I like how it definitely has a part about controversies where it's talking about how he lobbied for the Board of Trustees.
Everybody immediately goes to Wikipedia to be messy. They're like, excuse me, controversies.
This man lived in Little Rock. I don't trust nothing.
Oh, and he was there. See, he was probably. I wouldn't say because obviously I don't know, but allegedly
somebody born in how you say Texarkansas? Texarkana?
Please stop. Texarkana.
Texarkana. He was born in Texarkana, Texas.
And he moved to Camden, Arkansas. Here's the thing.
Arkansas.
Yep. So was racist.
You're racist, but what he said was very funny, and I was greatly amused. He was like, damn, I moved away from it. He was like, in a September email, he rejected part of her opening essay where she described the fight for civil rights after World War II, writing that black Americans largely fought back alone.
Okay.
He said, I think this claim denigrates the courageous efforts of many white Americans to address the sin of slavery and the racial injustices that resulted after the Civil War. That was what he reportedly wrote in the email. He then mentioned the Freedom Riders and many white Southern journalists. Not him, apparently. Was it him?
No, because long before Nicole Hannah-Jones won her Pulitzer Prize, courageous white Southerners.
He didn't say I was standing up.
Standing up for the rights of blacks.
We're winning. Wait. Wait a minute. We're winning Pulitzer Prizes. Wait a minute. But if they were doing it to make up for the original sin of slavery, then why does the Pulitzer shit matter? That's shut the fuck up, Walter.
He is just very mad that
shut up.
That she said what people need to acknowledge is that yes, there were white allies, but the white allies weren't there every day. They were not black people. They were not living black lives.
The majority of white people were not allies. That's what we need to give a fuck about. Is that the majority of your grandparents, probably Walter Hussey himself, were not fucking the allies.
What state was it where those white women? Oh, during in Birmingham, Alabama, with the strike on the buses. There were white women picking up their maids because they wanted to make sure there was a bitch to clean their house and a bitch to cook. That's not being an ally. That's wanting to make sure you have somebody to cook and clean. Like you have to be clear that your great grandma and your grandma were making sure
they're racist.
That their black woman was showing up on time to work. They didn't care why she was not getting on the bus. They just wanted to make sure she was there. Those are the allies he was talking about.
Listen. Have them tell it, bro. Have them tell it. And have them tell it, bro. Martin Luther King.
Eyes on the Prize already told you there were white people there. Some white people got hit on the head and shit. Some white people got kidnapped or whatever. We saw it. I know it's there, but it was alone, guys. It was black people doing it. It was black people getting murdered every day. It was black people.
Like, sorry, y'all know that. Listen, have them tell it. Martin Luther King came up one day. He said, y'all know segregation is very bad. And all the white people like, he damn right. Segregation is very bad. And then JFK fixed it. And then that was it.
Mm-hmm. Now you know you niggas is wrong for what you doing.
But
it's just a sick situation, like, to get denied tenure when everybody says she's a great professor. She adds value.
She's a teacher. If she's a good teacher, she should be allowed to teach with tenure, because people should be allowed to say things, especially to college students. Again, this is like this critical race theory conversation. Nobody's teaching critical race theory to even high schoolers. Even it's even more in depth than that. Nobody teaches freaking critical race theory in public pre-college school. That's not a thing. Like, learning about racism is not critical race theory. Learning about the Civil War, the truth of the Civil War is not critical race theory.
Whoa, they really do think that's critical race theory.
They think everything is critical race theory.
I learned about racism and what it was. Isn't that critical race theory?
They're like, Joe Biden's talking about the Tulsa Massacre. Critical race theory. That's not critical race theory. Critical race theory is literally... Think of even the term critical race theory. Critical.
Yes, please think of the word critical.
The theory means something you study. Critical also means studying something, thinking about it. That theory, thinking with your brain,
with your mega mind.
You know who sit around and think a lot? People in school, maybe in a sociology class, maybe that's where they might learn critical race theory. Like, come on, shut up, like. It makes me sick.
It's just sick, and it's sick because
it's not for little kids.
It's also a reflection of like how journalism is portrayed, especially for like people of color, Black and people of color, Indigenous people that want to explain like everything that happened to their people, that want to like have our own stories, that want to write history in a way that like reflects the history that we saw. Like, white people, I tweeted this, white people got to teach us how our history was, teach us what our history was, tell us everything. And now, because somebody's like, hey, there's this other perspective that you didn't think about. It's not that she's rejecting the other side. She's just saying, this is our perspective as a people of like the things that happened to us.
Right. I'm rejecting the other side. She wasn't rejecting the other side. Like, that's why she's a journalist. And that's why I'm a commentator.
They were acting as if she wasn't, like, objective, like, or subjective or whatever. They acted like she wasn't thinking like a journalist. This was a well-thought-out piece of, like, both journalism as well as just writing.
Writing, it was researched, it was true.
I don't know what y'all want.
No,
it also just pisses them off, the thought that the arrival of enslaved people into this country was what built this country. It makes them so mad to think that it wasn't their ingenuity. It wasn't their rugged ingenuity. They're pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. It was my grandpa on his farm all alone. And it'll go to this story and then we'll go to Amazon. But Rick Santorum was fired from CNN as a commentator, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
Well, he should have never been hired, but that's a different issue. Because he said this about Native Americans. We birthed the nation from nothing. I mean, there was nothing here. I mean, yes, we have Native Americans, but candidly, there isn't much Native American culture in American culture. And then later on Chris Cuomo's show, he said, I misspoke. I don't know why that didn't sound like a real word. I misspoke. Because that's a lie they always tell. I misspoke. I was talking about the founding of our country. I had given a long time.
Please, I'm begging, but how could the country have been founded if all y'all niggas died the first winters? Every time y'all niggas did, y'all just kept getting diseases. Y'all was eating each other, like goddamn, like literally. You talk about savages. You talk about uncivilized. Niggas was dirty.
Didn't know how to
bathe. Wash. It's just spreading disease around, shitting in their drinking water. Literally, who does that? Like, just think. Like,
the Native people looking at them like, what are you doing?
They're like, you're literally living in a swamp, dummy. Like,
you're gonna die.
Like,
you don't know what this leaf does?
Like,
Peasants?
okay. No, but I'm seriously, like, I'm sitting here in Massachusetts.
Ma-
we got places like the Chattahoochee River in Georgia. Like, you got places like Tennessee and Mississippi and
Ohio.
Dakotas and Michigan and like, what do you mean? We literally, you know how mad y'all got about some Chief Wahoo or whatever that man named Chief Kazoo? I don't know. Like, what the hell? That freaking red weird thing.
The Redskins, dude.
That slurred fucking shits. What?
The Redskins logo, the Washington football team logo.
Yes, that chief motherfucker, whatever they want to call that. And they got, like, if Native Americans aren't part of our culture, then why was y'all so mad about getting rid of Chief Wahoo or whatever the man's
Why
name
y'all
was?
so mad about the Blackhawks not being Blackhawks no more? Why y'all mad?
Like, literally, why do y'all keep putting weird Native Americans on your, like,
they mean
state
nothing.
flags and stuff? Massachusetts.
Facts, change it immediately.
Like, sickening. We're about to go to that when we get to international news. We just found more evidence of genocide in North America of the indigenous folks of North America. So yeah, it's kind of time to change some damn some fucking tomahawk and sword shit. Like, what the fuck is that, Massachusetts?
But Native Americans had no.
There's no impact of Native Americans in my culture. Yeah, none. You know, I mean, we just growing corn. You know, we just figured that one out by ourselves, and squash and, you know, all that stuff, man.
We did it all. No.
Nobody talks about anything. Like, nobody talks about the thing I'm not gonna. You know, it's nighttime. Anyway, nobody talks about the thing I'm not gonna say. You know, Supernatural didn't have a bunch of freaking things from Native American lore, monsters from Native American lore. Like,
oh, I know the thing.
We never.
Which I almost said.
We never let's talk about it. Like, nothing.
Your little tattoos.
You be tattooing dream catchers on your body. Like,
all the evil dreams can get into your body. That's why
covering yourselves in headdresses. Y'all making a damn mountain of Crazy Horse. The man didn't even, out of a sacred mountain, the man didn't even like pictures. Like,
be gone, Satan. Be gone, because...
Shut up, Rick Santorum. You should have never been hired. Isn't he a toucher too?
Probably.
I think he's touchy too.
Allegedly. Who knows?
Allegedly, I don't know. I'm just saying it, but it's probably
is
true.
Far off?
I'm about to Google it. He probably did something.
It's just, oh my God. Like, when we think about, like, this story as in connection to the Nicole Hannah-Jones story, it's just the way these people rewrite history and then are mad when we're like, that's not how it went down. That is, like, you're erasing us on purpose. You're erasing us because...
Oh, I know. That's why I was thinking he was touchy. Because he said that weird shit about pregnancy through rape being a gift from God. That's why I thought he was touchy. Sorry. I guess you're just a weirdo. You're not touchy, maybe.
You're just a creep.
You're just a terrible person, I guess.
Like, the way they allow themselves to forget about history is wild. Also, the end quote about this I really want to point out is, I was talking about the founding of our country. I had given a long talk about the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and the ideas behind those, and that was saying we sort of created that anew, if you will. And I was not trying to dismiss Native Americans.
Is that even true, though?
What?
That,
anew?
That it wasn't at all influenced by Native Americans, because I thought there were, like, certain... Like, you know, certain ways, like, the Iroquois worked and stuff, like, that they used, like,
yes, I was gonna say,
from some government, you know.
Like we said, they learned a lot from the native people and how they, like, worked on this land, because this land is also geographically different and, like...
Yeah, it's not like Europe. Like, it was, every part of the country is a different
climate, different, like, geography, different... paths, the way they learned how to, like, do treaties and trades, they didn't learn that from nobody else but the natives that knew how to do it with each other. Like, the way they learned how to govern was because they learned things from natives.
I think it's very dismissive and weird, because, like, even, like if you're even, like, thinking about, like,
also, you didn't see these people as humans, so, like, you wrote the Declaration of Independence, Constitution, all these things. Keeping in mind that Native Americans and black people weren't human. Like, right. They weren't...
They didn't consider them... Like, Native Americans couldn't vote until the 60s.
Like, you didn't think these...
I mean, not the 70s, really.
Just how am I supposed to take part of a conversation when you're literally writing down in the document, in a group full of white men, that I have no value?
They were... Native Americans were not considered citizens.
They were just savages. That's all they were.
Literally, every time they were like, okay, I want to expand more, they just shoved them west.
Yes.
And then they couldn't shove them anymore, so they just shoved them deeper, just shoved them into reservations. Like...
If there was a cliff, I think, for them to, like, push them off, they probably would have.
Yo, if the earth was flat like they wanted it to be, right off. All of us just...
I think that's why they wanted the earth to be flat. They needed somewhere...
They were
shovel.
Yo, they were hoping Christopher Columbus could just jump off that ledge.
They were like, Christopher Columbus was like, oh no, there's way too many brown people here. Well, where's a place for us to push them off a cliff?
That sounded like Jamaican, so I was very confused.
Okay, anywho, so there's this area in California called, it's a rural northern California. I love this.
Yeah,
I love when the titles are in there.
There's a street.
Isn't it a street and a creek or something
like that?
Yeah,
a street and a creek. And a street and a creek and let me open this.
And a freak every day of the week.
In Northern California, there's a town. There's a road called Jim Crow Road. And Jim Crow Canyon and Jim Crow Creek are right near.
Wow.
And so some people, like a lot of people have businesses on Jim Crow Road or who live near Jim Crow Canyon, Jim Crow Creek. They're like, can we maybe change the name, because when we telling people come here, you gotta say come to Jim Crow Road. It's kind of a turn off.
Personally,
it's like a small town. It's isn't 3,000 people and they're mostly white.
Yes, something like that. If I Google Jim Crow Road,
I'm not going nowhere near no Jim Crow Canyon, so I can get thrown off Jim Crow Canyon, so I can get drowned in Jim Crow Creek.
Don't agree with it. Just to be frank, Jim Crow Road is not for me. Jim Crow Creek, even less.
Jim Crow Creek is where you go to die. What
and
the
Jim
hell?
Crow Canyon, that's where they throw your body after.
I'm saying, but but let's talk about the best part of this, right? So there were a bunch of there's a bunch of townsfolk who came to bitch about how it should the name should remain.
A bunch of white people fighting each other. And that's it, pretty much.
And they say they're like, it's a historical name. It has a historical value because during the gold rush, there was a native Hawaiian man. I'll say that again, a native Hawaiian man during the gold rush, which was in the late 1800s, early 1900s. We probably very recently acquired Hawaii, if we had it yet. They said that Jim Crow Road is named after that native Hawaiian man.
Because his name
was Jim.
Obviously Jim Crow.
His actual name, and not just a slur thrown at him because he was not white. It was clearly his real name, this native Hawaiian man.
That definitely saw a bunch of English Americans. That's definitely who he interacted with. That's definitely who his parents saw when they named him.
And I'm even if his name has something to do with a crow, most native Hawaiian names, I've never seen any of them translated to English. Some other indigenous names, some people will be I knew a guy whose last name was Two Guns. But in Hawaii, they keep their language, so they're not gonna call themselves, even if their name was Ocean something, or I don't know, they wouldn't. Probably not. I don't think so.
That would be my first question. Why is your name Jim Crow?
Jim Crow.
The best part was when somebody in the comment was like, I don't even think his name was Jim Crow. No, bitch. What do you think?
They were no, listen. Okay, I have to read what this lady was saying. Let me go on this computer. I have to read what this lady was saying, because she was very upset that Jim Crow Road might be going away.
It was at this part. It's very disappointing that cancel culture movement has affected our small community.
Yes.
I never thought that it would happen here, she said. There was never any reference I found that compared him to any of the bad Jim Crow image. That was just the guy's name. And whether or not it was his real name or not, we don't know. That's kind of what I'm arguing. What I'm arguing. Why change it? Just leave it.
If we don't know, then why should we keep it, ma'am?
She literally gave you the argument
As to why you should change it. And I know that was not that man's name, and I feel fully comfortable.
A hill I will die on.
This is a hill I will die on repeatedly. I'll stake myself to this hill. I feel fully confident in telling you that man's parents did not name him no Jim Crow. That's what I'm gonna tell you about that. And you know what? When someone can disprove me, come through.
Another hilarious part, besides the fact that it's just white people fighting each other about this, 100% of the people that have private property on the road asked for it to be changed. What's the problem?
Said the Sierra County supervisor who brought the issue before the board after hearing from his constituents. To me, this is just a no-brainer, but I also realize that everybody looks at these things different.
No, what's the problem?
No, if they have business... If they have businesses, if they have homes, they should be able to... Like, they should have to live on some damn Jim Crow Road.
Please just change
Jim Crow Street, whatever.
Road.
Jim Crow.
And then even the story about this Jim Crow guy was racist as hell. Like,
yes.
It was, like, first of all, you can tell that if they called him Jim Crow, it was a slur. Because the story was like... He knew how to find the gold, and he snuck away, and like, they got it out of a fish, and, like, him and the other Native Hawaiians, like, were sneaking away and getting the extra gold, and it was weird.
I was like, you decide now? So yeah, don't be racist, guys, please. And
Native Hawaiian man was not Jim. His name was not Jim Crow. I wish we knew his real name. I'm sorry to that man. I hope he has descendants who.
Oh my god!
I hope he has descendants who know his real name, because Jim Crow was not that man's name, and I'm positive about it.
Oh god. Okay. All right. So in let me find this article. It was in Ontario.
Yeah, Ontario. Just say 215 children. You'll find it, probably.
Yeah. Okay. So, in more kind of indigenous news, there was a massive grave found on the grounds of a former residential school in Kamloops. Okay, Kamloops, British Columbia last week. And it was 215 children, and some were like as young as like 3 and 2,
Damn.
like babies that were killed in one of the residential schools that used to like exist in Canada.
And first of all, let's be clear that the last residential school in Canada closed in 1996, and throughout their existence, they were rampant sexual abuse, rampant physical abuse, rampant, mass murder,
yes,
genocide. Literal genocide, and Canada does not do enough to acknowledge. The U.S. does not do enough to acknowledge it either, because we also have the same fucking residential schools. I think we call them Indian schools.
Yes,
usually.
Which is, somehow both are so racist. It's
right.
Kind of incredibly racist. Yes, Indian schools. Oh yes, residential schools where we'll kidnap your children and never bring them back.
Cut their hair, beat them, force them to stop speaking their language. Like, people are talking about like their parents' experience and stuff. I saw a lot of people talking about it on Twitter, or people, like people who were in residential schools talking about their experiences. Like, I remember one guy was like, my dad said all the older boys would always position themselves near the door, so when the priest came at night, they would hopefully take them instead of the younger boys. And these are like 10-year-olds, like, protecting like 4-year-olds. Like, when we talk about we talk about savagery, we talk about brutality, we talk about all this stuff, and it's always put on people of color. It's always the scary black, brown, whatever savage. As if
people didn't do it on a massive scale.
They did it the most. To the most groups of people, not even just them own selves, but to everybody around the world. Sickening.
Roman Catholic Church, another one of your sins.
Yes,
these are another one of your greatest sins.
That's one of their main, and when they talk about the Catholic Church sexual abuse in schools, they're not even talking about residential schools. They're only talking about like Catholic schools.
Yes,
no, like
about like a very much just American,
literally
traditional, very white schools. They're not talking about these schools because these schools were forgotten. These were children
literally
that people
don't
did not care about. Well, obviously their people cared about them, but that the general white America did not care to know about.
White America, white Canada. whoever. In Canada, Canada really codified it a lot in terms of how their laws around Native. And to this day, there is a lot of there's racial. There's it's hard to neither is worse than the other. But the way Canada,
Canada do shit is
the way it's
they're indigenous.
They're not like the U.S. where somebody's happy to be Cherokee. That's what I'll say about it. Like where a white person be like, I'm 16%. Like in Canada, if you're Native, like a lot of people are hide it still because, like I said, 1996 niggas was born the next year. We were born right after that. So that's not that long ago that these schools closed. And
yeah, I mean they still on TikTok. There's thankfully a lot of indigenous famous TikTokers now, but a lot of them still face a lot of prejudice and racism
and now
and
you know how they do it now instead of residential schools. You know how they do it now through the foster care system. They do that in the United States. Mm-hmm. They do that in Canada. When you again, we got to talk about, people be scared to say, they be like, oh, you're going too far. It's genocide. We got to talk about it because when you take some of these kids away and they do it systemically, they do it to black people, they do it to natives. When you take some of these kids systemically, you take them away from their culture. That's genocide. Destroying a culture is genocide. So we need to really recognize that. You really gotta mourn all these people probably had no idea what happened to their children, or maybe knew and no one would investigate. No one would go check to see if there was a mass fucking grave on the site. Was it on the site?
It's on the former grounds of the school.
It's disgusting.
215 children just gone. Were gone for so much of
history. And the worst part is that it happened so many times, so many places. It's disgusting. When we need to acknowledge it. No,
this is a horrifying stat because we know the numbers much higher. But the National Center for Truth and I hate that word. Reconciliation estimates about 4,100 children died at the residential school based on death records, but has said that the true total is likely much higher, which you obviously know as they found 215.
That's already that's a huge chunk of 4,000 and 100, whatever.
Excuse me, sorry.
4,100. It was at least in the tens of thousands at least.
Because they were just taking the children for no
reason. You were forced to send your kid to residential. You had to send your kid to those schools. And then we wonder why there's a lot of addiction and a lot of people literally one generation ago.
You traumatized a whole generation. Your brother and your sister,
several generations
taken away.
After generation, for years.
Your kids taken away. Tell me, somebody take your kid. You likely know they're probably gonna die there, and you won't just. I'll start. Shit, why not die too?
Take your. If they don't die there, they're not coming back the same. They're not coming back mentally healthy. They're not coming back a kid.
Sickening. Canada, the UK, the Crown, all of them still need to whatever penance they've tried to do has never been enough for their atrocities.
And it will never be enough. The U.S. needs to take responsibility too, because for a lot of this, not during the residential school time, but a lot of the time of the genocide of the indigenous people on this continent, the U.S. and Canada had very inflexible borders. They were both British colonies, and that's what British colonies during the French and Indian War, the U.S. and the 13 colonies and the British Columbia were, they were the same.
That was cousins. They were cousins. They were brothers.
They were all colonies. Colonies are colonies. But yeah, so that first of all, they need to be digging up every fucking residential school. That's first of all.
Yeah, they use this underground radar or whatever. They got some cool technology to look underground. Go looking.
Look at everyone.
Go looking.
To figure out.
Take your little fancy camera and go look.
Where all these children are buried because there's more.
Like
that's the part. That's the worst part about it. It's not like maybe there are more.
Like, how traumatic must it be for you to be an indigenous person and to know that there are so many of these graves existing, and to like have to like constantly grieve for your people that like just died so young, that were not given a proper life, that were just taken away from their family, that like those are like your aunts, your uncles, your grandfathers that like disappeared.
Right.
And like the Canadian government, the American government didn't care to ever like recognize them, didn't care about their stories, didn't care about who they were. And like in our cultures, these are things that are very important for us, like the way we bury people, the way we grieve them, the way we celebrate them.
Right.
So like, Canada, y'all better just make a little committee and go around.
Find those, and y'all need to give real reparations.
Facts.
Like.
Also, stop treating
and true acknowledgement.
Facts. That would be like, all they do every time is Justin, what's his name?
Trudeau.
They'll just be like, we're very sorry. Our deepest condolences for the things of our past. Blah blah blah. I mean, no. Your government was wrong. The way you did things was wrong. There's no way to apologize for something so massive and so horrendous, so much genocide and murder of people. You can't.
Castrate yourselves.
Leave Canada right now.
Castrate yourselves.
Go back to the UK. Just overwhelm them. That's your mission.
Castrate yourselves and like all of your male cousins. And then maybe that'll be like a good enough payment. Because like basically that's what you've been doing is like I know you all have hit that nail on the head with this one and beating a dead horse, but I really do. This whole time I've just been thinking about all the parents who have been still I don't know what happened to them,
right?
And then like seeing this and being like, what if?
Facts.
Right, and then like again. If you came back, you weren't the same person.
Fucked up.
So
I mean, shit.
Like literally, I was reading
getting sexually assaulted, food insecurity because they didn't like to feed them too.
Right.
Just the
not
whole skew of issues.
Like
being forced to forget who you were.
Right. Stop speaking your language. Cut your hair. Like that stuff is traumatizing. Somebody was talking about how their dad like. Still to this day, or a lot of people talk about how their parents still to this day won't admit that they're indigenous, or won't keep it a secret because of what was happening so very recently to indigenous people on this continent, in Canada, in the U.S. So
good.
Fuck Canada. So now going on to other atrocities that are happening to people of color, specifically a black woman. Why was I gonna say her name weird?
In pop culture news, Naomi Osaka
it made big waves this week because it was the French Open. One of these opens.
French Open. She put her mental health first instead of being a little pony show pony for the fucking press who is racist. And treat her like shit, and treat every black woman like shit. And ask questions. And you know what? Athletes don't give answers that anybody cares about. Nobody cares. I'm gonna hear these people. They say the same things. Yep, we played hard.
Why did you lose? Why do you think I lost? You saw me play. Do I really need to go play by play on why I lost?
And do I look like I want to do that right now?
Do I like?
And also, I understand not wanting to be somebody to be your face. Like, my job is to win the damn tennis match or lose, whichever. That's still my job, to play the match as best as I can, hopefully win. And whether I do that or at the end of it, that should be it. I shouldn't be getting fined.
It's making a spectacle out of people. That's the thing that sports has become more than anything.
And especially black people. They're like, why don't we have access to 24/7?
Because they want her to react badly. They want her to cry on stage. They want her to scream on them at stage. They want her to act a fool so that they can say, oh, look at her. Look at how she doesn't respect herself or respect the sport. They want her to do that. They want her to act all types of way and not care about how they're affecting her. And it's fucked up. Why, especially for tennis, what the hell does those interviews do for you? The interviews on the court are the best.
One-on-one against.
Not a thing.
One-on-one, you could see everything in the match.
You saw where I fucked up
versus one person, maybe doubles, maybe it's 4 people. Like,
You
come
saw that
on.
fucked up. And it's even worse because there was this tweet of this man that was basically ragging on Naomi. Sounded weird in my head. That name sounds weird in my head anytime I say it. Ragging on her, but then was talking about, I can't remember, there was some basketball player that came out talking about how he's depressed because he retired. And that's valid because you spend your whole life playing a game and then it's gone.
Right.
What do you do? Depression. And he was all defending this man, going like, wow, so brave of him. Where's the bravery for her?
They're like, oh, you're so rich. Why are you complaining? Oh, this and that. And then nobody want to say it. Knock on wood. If she self harms, then y'all gonna be why? But why? Every freaking time something happens to somebody, everybody's like, and we need to be kind. And then every time somebody's like, I'm having mental health struggles. I'm having health struggles. I'm anything. They're like, ugh. I hate you. Shut up. Why are you crying?
Why? Why do you care? You should just be making your money. Why do you care if they ask you? Because you ask me stupid questions that hurt. You don't care what happens to me when you ask me
It's abusive. It's abusive. And then like,
she's
literally
very
like
young.
She's literally like 21, 22. Maybe 23. But she's young.
She's 23. She was born October 16th, 1997.
About to be 24. What up, 97?
And if you don't remember, okay, she was 23 in 2018 with that picture of Serena when she beat Serena, I think at the U.S. Open and the French Open, I can't remember. And one of the Opens where she beat Serena, she was, how many years ago was that? Minus 2018, how old were we? 20?
21.
20, okay, 21. Okay. I don't know math. Like, she 2021 and have, like, that whole spectacle that happened with her, like, her winning such a great award, that math killing you in your head, her winning, like, one of the best awards for tennis against her idol, and there's a whole
21.
hoopla.
97, 20 years plus 1, duh.
You know I don't know math, you're good at that, good job. So at 21, she was actually probably 20 because
her birthday's on October.
So you're at 20, and there's a whole spectacle. It's a whole thing. You win such a good award, but everybody is being upset that you beat Serena. Everybody's upset that Serena was mad about losing because she's competitive, because she's a tennis player.
And because the umpire was a shithead. It wasn't just... That's the other thing. People are ignoring the fact that it wasn't like... It wasn't just that Naomi... Like, obviously, Naomi Osaka is one of the best tennis players...
Ranked number 2.
...in the world. Like, but it wasn't just a loss. Like, it wasn't like, oh, everything was perfectly right and cool. Like, that... It's, like, first of all, they always are unfair to Serena. And that was near the year that she wanted to wear that catsuit. And... You know it was racist because afterwards that person drew that fucking cartoon showing Serena as like
stomping as like an animal, pretty much,
and showing Naomi Osaka as white, just white with like light blonde,
a whole Haitian Japanese woman,
white like with platinum blonde hair, like straight platinum blonde hair.
Like we have to remember that the way the media has treated pretty
Skinny,
much every black
woman they drew her as
tennis player has been horrific. Like. And the fact that, like, people want to act like it's okay. Like, the fact that Serena and Venus were literally bullied. They were bullied by the media into basically having to, and by their father, because their father forced them to be very thick-skinned. But, like, they were forced to be this way because of racism and because of these issues. So do we think it's cool?
Their father forced them because the media was forcing them.
So do we think it's cool to, like, accept the fact that it's still happening 20 years later?
I mean, like...
And it still happens to both of Venus
and
Serena.
I mean, and, like, that's why it was whack to hear Serena's response, like, you know, some people aren't thick-skinned. My thing about it is that she shouldn't have to be thick-skinned. She should have to play fucking tennis when she does play fucking tennis, and she plays it well. And that's all we should have to have from her. She's on social media, like... We could see some pictures of her. If somebody wanted to interview her, a real interview, they could schedule an interview with her. They could write an article about her. I don't need to see her after the damn match. Like, especially if she don't want to. She doesn't want to.
What do we gain as viewers, and me and Malaysia, both fiends for any sports, so turn it on and we interested. What do we gain? Like, I don't gain anything from watching these post-game conferences. All we've gained is memes.
Literally, I like when they bring their kids. That's the fun times.
That's when we learned about what's her name? Riley Curry, like goals.
Way up. I feel blessed.
Like, that's all we get, really. So, let's stop this little, like, media show of athletes.
It's whack.
Because y'all directly play into the why so many athletes struggle with mental illness and mental health. And then y'all want to act like, well, it's part of the job. Well, it doesn't have to be.
Somebody showed that clip of Paul Pierce where he was the practice rant. But, like, you know, the after part, they didn't show the after part, but the after part where he was like, Pierce, Allen Iverson, the hell?
Me, whoa.
Sorry, my brain to mouth is fucked up.
Boston?
It's fucked up. Allen Iverson, my favorite player, to be honest. You know, his rant about, like, why the fuck are y'all talking to me about practice? But the thing he said after was, you know, and my best friend just died.
Yes.
Yeah, he died. He's dead, and you know what? I don't have time to do anything, and I'm sad because he's dead. Like,
and y'all ragging on me about fucking practice.
And I give 100% in the game, and that's my job, is to give 100% in the game, and that's true. He did. Paul Pierce. So I'll say it again. Allen Iverson literally did he played the whole game.
He played. No matter what he was playing. I don't know. Go back and watch the tapes. I don't know.
You need to play the game. Like, so.
Just racism is so embedded into our journalism and the way we do sports media.
Yeah, I'm like, they literally think black people. It's like a fucking menstrual fight, bro.
Like,
they literally think black people should just perform like it's the minstrel show.
They want you
like,
to hop
you need
up
to
on
tap
there
dance and fucking be cheery. You need to like sing a song like Uncle Remus, like.
You know, Naomi, this is what you gotta do if you're gonna show up to another thing and do some press. Like somebody said on Twitter, read some revolutionaries. That would be dope. You could do a Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick don't answer shit. That man has spent 20 years
do a Marshawn Lynch, which everybody got mad at. I'm only here so I don't get fined. I'm only here so I don't get fined.
Talk about Skittles like he did at one point. Like, they're circumvent them.
Because there's no reason. And also, people just don't
Filibuster the press.
You better bring green eggs and ham and go in.
Right. People just don't deserve that much access to another person. Like, we deserve their money to be paid in taxes. But in terms of, like, personal access to them, that's not our right. Sorry.
It's sickening. Okay, and our last topic of the night is about masturbation. So turn it off if your kids are listening, but you should probably let your kids listen.
What do you mean? Yeah, this is the exact conversation. Should kids not learn? I should have put the link to the damn video. Did you? I gotta link the video.
I forgot where it was.
I feel like there's a whole YouTube channel, but I know who has it.
Focus on me.
I know who has it. But yeah, so there was a video, and it was talking about kids and masturbation, and everybody was very upset.
There's a bunch of fucking kids masturbating everywhere.
It was a cartoon, and there was a cartoon woman and a few cartoon children. There was a cartoon boy and a cartoon girl, and the boy was like, I don't know. He said something about, when I touch my penis, it feels good or something. And the teacher bitch was like, yeah, that's a thing. Yo,
sorry guys.
Sickening. Anyway, Vince Staples just tweeted some. Follow Vince Staples on Twitter. Like, it's worth your time. I don't know this woman's name, but I think I can.
Is it the Positive Parenting Mom?
Yes, Super. Isn't it like
Supernova or Super Mom, something like that? There it is, Supernova Mama.
Yes.
I just found this a very interesting thing because we're constantly having these conversations. First of all, kids masturbate.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Okay. Let me finish what the thing was. They were like, yeah. He was like, yeah. When you touch your penis, it can feel good. And yeah, and then the girl was like, yeah, sometimes I touch my vulva. And the teacher thing was like, yeah, you have a clit, and that probably feels good, like when he touches his penis. But you know what? Y'all shouldn't touch your penis in public. You see adults, they don't touch their stuff in public. You know, they be leaving that for home in private. And you know what? You shouldn't do that. And that was too much for people.
That was it. Oh my god. It was like, this is too much of a grown concept. It's not. We shouldn't, like, what do you even talking to your kids about then?
I just want my kids to figure it out for themselves.
Yo, bro.
Literally, but then people are saying, like, they're teaching them to masturbate. No, like, kids, they masturbate.
If you told a 4-year-old me clit, I would be like, I don't know what that is. And I wouldn't ask a question because I wasn't a question asking that for. I'd say, okay, and I'd keep it pushing.
Right.
Like, maybe I'd think about it. Like,
a lot of things have been tweeted in the last 2 days.
Yes, she has. Because people were wilding.
Yeah.
But it was just, it's such a wild thing. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is because people are constantly, all the time on social media, are like, our schools didn't teach us what we needed to know about sexual health. Our schools didn't teach us about taxes. Our schools didn't teach us about this. Our schools didn't teach us about that.
Oh, yeah, they took down the...
damn.
The video. Oh, no, they didn't. Sometimes Twitter does this thing where it looked like...
the video's gone.
The video's gone, but it's there. So I always click the link just to be safe. But I'm going to link it to y'all.
Are you okay? So the reason why this even became a thing is because this person on TikTok put the video and put, are you okay with the education system telling your 6-year-old it's okay to masturbate? Yes, I am. Because you know why? Kids are already doing it. Kids do it in the womb.
It is okay to masturbate. And the other thing is that, like, when you stigmatize stuff like that, especially when you don't talk about it. First of all, they do it. So if you tell them that it's unnatural, that's just gonna traumatize them. That's just gonna make them feel bad. But like, if you don't talk about it, that's part of the you know, problem that people have with, like, you know, actually finding out when kids are being abused, like when they don't know the proper word for their private parts, when they don't fucking their genitalia, when like that stuff. You need to talk to your kids. Like, people are so scared to tell their kids something, because the thing about it is that I know so many people before me have said it. But if you don't tell your kids, somebody else is gonna tell your kids. Their friends are gonna tell them. The world's gonna tell them.
No, like, you're not gonna
escape it. Like,
when your 6-year-old come home and a boy was like, if you have a girl, child and it goes, oh, the little boy told me he touches his pee-pee. What are you gonna tell him then? Wouldn't you have preferred if there had been a conversation at school? Hopefully, in honesty, you should have been having this conversation when they were 2 or 3. You should have been starting these conversations about you have private parts, they're for pleasure, but also for this, and this. And if you're not doing that, you're doing a disservice to your child. You're doing a disservice to, like, what you're going to teach them in the future about their sexual health and their reproductive health. You're a failure as a parent.
Yeah, and if you end up raising a cis-shit male,
you gonna raise a shitty shit man?
You're gonna raise a shitty cis-shit male, and then they're gonna perpetuate all of the other shitty cis-shit thing.
Up.
That's what y'all need to do. If y'all have a problem with sex ed, this is what I want. This is me to y'all. Shut up.
I thought you were saying cis-shut the fuck up.
No.
Nope, just shut up.
All right, that's
Shut it up. Let your kids learn. Let your kids learn, because I know, you know what? Because you didn't learn about it, and you're not stupid, wrong word. And you are lacking information, and you are lacking knowledge.
And you're very judgmental because you don't know nothing.
Because you don't know and you didn't know. No, stupid no good.
We're trying to stop, but we've been bad tonight. We've been upset,
so
and
bad.
It's hot.
Oh no, man, today when my blood was boiling, this is another random story we're going to end with. There was this article about this director that George Clooney talked about in 2000 or 2001, about how, like, he treated everybody on that set like trash. He's the director of American Hustle.
I didn't watch that movie.
I didn't either.
That's that one.
Either David O. Russell, sorry. So David O. Russell is a known, basically, abuser on set. Like, he's known to yell at people, known to get into fights. On American Hustle, he made Amy Adams basically cry every day on set.
I feel like I heard that.
So this is a common trend that happens, where these directors, we let these white men get away with treating people like shit on set.
And they don't even be making good movies.
That was my point. My tweet it had a lot of ableist words in it, and I was trying really hard to limit them, but I didn't know how to explain how it made me mad in the head to think about these directors that produce shit movies that we let abuse actors. And it's the same concept as, like, when we're talking about Naomi or Serena. Like, we treat celebrities like they're not people too. Like we treat actors like they're not humans. And I'm very confused because you just being a director for making mid movies. American Hustle is a shit movie. I haven't seen it all. I've only seen.
And they was winning Oscars and
Jennifer Lawrence was in it, and I already don't like that. Bradley Cooper was in it. Don't like that. And I don't like her, but that's
I thought they was in the what's that one with Emma Stone? The Hollywood. What's that one called?
La La Land.
La La Land. Yes.
Were they in La La Land?
Yeah. La La.
Do you remember that whole time that Ryan Gosling kept saying he saved the jazz?
Oh, he made Silver Lining Playbook. Horrible movie.
He made that shitty movie. I watched that movie too, and that one was trash. And I was wondering, The Fighter. Man, he made all these Oscar movies that weren't good. The Fighter was okay actually, but
it made Anchorman.
The Fighter was only okay.
I guess he directed it. Yeah. They ruin it for you, don't you?
The Fighter was only okay because it was about a real person.
I think Three Kings is the movie that George Clooney was referencing.
Yeah.
But so we let these white men treat people like shit, and
let him yell at me. Nah, but seriously, like when people like. Yeah, that's why when you're going into the entertainment industry, it's better to own and to be the creator and to be the whatever.
To be everything, because these people will treat you like shit. Also, the reason I think this came
be
about...
producer. If you're a producer and an actor, you think the director's going to yell at you? No.
The reason this mainly came about is because Taylor Swift is set to star in one of his movies. Not star, but like join...
we're gonna get a lot of good songs, huh? About crying on set.
Well, she did make good chorus sometimes.
I almost started singing "Best of Both Worlds." I know.
I just forgot every Taylor Swift song I know too. I was riding shotgun with my hair undone in the front seat of his car.
I like how we both went to first two albums.
Right.
Taylor Swift.
The good Taylor Swift.
Our song is the same screen door. I think it's Baby Now We Got Bad Blood.
Bad Blood.
Baby Now We Got Bad Blood. Ew.
Yeah, so David O. Russell.
I didn't like that Taylor
Can
Swift.
Go to Hell. He's 62 too. That's the issue.
Ew,
that
old.
He was quite young being a dick. That was only 20 years ago. You were 40 being this rude to
why
people.
Are you so mean?
And your movies aren't good.
Ew, you're old and mean.
He's your wife. Oh, I know her.
One time, Alejandro said white men won't see heaven, and
That's true.
I think this applies.
David O. Russell.
This man will not see heaven. The way George Clooney also is known to be quite like a nice person, like in terms of like general Hollywoodness, because people are dicks there. So like to make him like upset, like he wanted to fight this man.
Yeah, George Clooney is like George Clooney is like a real like a literal liberal Democrat like. That's George Clooney. He's like, oh my gosh, I can't say mean things.
Not at all. And he had this man, David O. Russell, had him tight and ready to go. So in conclusion, David O. Russell can go to hell. All of his films can go to hell.
Yo, listen, I don't know. None of them are good. The Fighter, I only seen it once, and it probably wasn't really that good.
Silver Lining Playbook is the worst movie about mental health to exist in this country.
I mean that.